I love you. For so very long, I've harped on Fast and Furious for always trying to outdo their predecessor. But now I get it. Bond did it first.
Dun-dun, dun-dun.
As my dog starts playing with her squeak toy immediately as I start recording, welcome back, Couch Potatoes. We're Green and Faceless on the couch, and I'm the Green Traveler.
And I'm the Thirsty Leon. This is a podcast about movies and TV, and we're doing a James Bond playlist, as you may or may not know. You only live twice, people.
You only live twice.
That's what you get to take away from this movie.
Not to be confused, yet again, another Bond title with an easily rip-offable name. Not to be confused with You Only Die Twice, which is a documentary that I almost started watching in lieu of this on accident.
What is it about?
I was going to read it off the Wikipedia, and I closed that page on accident. You asked what it was about, and I don't honestly know what it's about. It's about Israeli, I guess, a detective turned like a documentary guy who like tries to uncover something. I don't remember the synopsis, but it was a long run-on sentence that I read to you just like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, I think I remember better than that. He was
That's good.
He was a documentary. he started out being a filmmaker, and then he turns detective trying to find this guy who stole his grandpa's identity and then became a Jewish leader in Austria. That's what you said it was about.
That's exactly what. Yeah, you're right. I remember now.
Yeah.
Guys, I have like short-term memory loss, I swear. Like I'll like say something and just immediately forget it.
I feel like the way that might end up being edited, it's going to seem like we were talking about this documentary in an impromptu way, and then all of a sudden
it became scripted.
Now it sounds like it's scripted, but we had to stop because I had an important call come in.
Yeah, we're having production nightmare issues right now.
A little bit, but you know what? I don't know anything about the story behind the production of this film, but some of it is nightmarish.
Yeah.
So, who wants to? Yeah, should we dive right into that?
Yeah, you only live twice. I'll let you describe this movie because even though I remember it, I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah. So, Bond dies. Not really. It's a ploy to get Spectre off his back, and that happens in the first 5 minutes.
It's one of the dumbest things ever. It's campy. It's campy and great, and like it definitely makes me like understand and love James Bond a little bit. Like this movie definitely helped me fall in love with the franchise a little more.
Me too. I will say that too. But there's also things.
Yeah, there's also so many dumb things, and him faking his death is one of those dumb things, because it's like, it's another one of those spy things where, you know, they cut to Spectre, and Spectre's like, yeah, he's not really dead. It's just like, they know the game, like, why bother?
Yeah, why bother, for sure. But it was really funny that they gave him a sea burial, and then they picked him up in a submarine. That was so hilarious.
I loved it when they like cut open his body bag and he's wearing like a scuba gear. I'm just like, come on.
Yeah, and they built the office set for him and Moneypenny like exactly the same, but as if it was in a submarine, and it was so fucking funny.
Yeah, it's adorable.
That part was great. And he then you know what? All of a sudden, I completely forgot the rest of the
space.
plot.
Then it goes into space.
That's right. Yes, space.
Yeah, with the final frontier, where you have I can't remember if it's U.S. or Russia. Well, sorry, the Soviet Union at this time. Yeah. I can't remember which country it is, but there's a space capsule, you know, with astronauts in there floating up in space, and a big giant ship comes up and eats it.
Yep, eats it like Pac-Man. And it's like if Pac-Man was an alligator, that's what it was like.
Yes,
but it was an American ship to start off with. It was
okay.
Yeah, and then so they're like all blaming the Russians and stuff, and it's
Well, actually,
the movie came out during the Cold War, so.
Oh wait, sorry, no, it's. I was gonna say I thought the U.S. was blaming Japan, but it's MI6 who believe it's Japan.
That's right. Yes. So they have a meeting with I guess some union. I don't actually know at what state the League of Nations was at this time. What's called the UN now. Anyhow, they get all together and USSR is like, no, it wasn't us, and why would we want to do that? And US is like, oh yeah, you know why. But MI6, like you said, MI6, like you said, it was like, hey, listen, we're pretty sure this ship came from the Japanese area, so it's probably somewhere in there.
Because it landed next to Japan.
Yeah,
or in the
right.
sea.
That's right.
It's like, come on, guys.
And
it's just so silly that it's just like, oh, it landed there. It must be theirs. It's like,
it must be theirs.
Or other people could be hiding out close by Japan.
Who knows? There's a lot of small islands. At this point in human history, I feel like they were pretty well mapped out by the Japanese, but I don't know how, maintained. I don't know.
Spectre could always be hiding on any one of those islands.
That's right. Yeah. Spectre, if anybody has money somewhere, they might have connection to Spectre.
Because dun dun dun, guess who's behind it?
Guess who it is, guys? It's our number one villain crew, Spectre.
And number one himself.
Yeah. He is desperate to get the Cold War started. I don't know.
To make it physical. To make it actually a war.
Yeah, to make it, that's right. To make it a hot war. And I'm not entirely sure why this is his motive. I can't remember.
He's being, it's heavily implied that Spectre is being employed by the Chinese, I believe. Because there's his, his employers, the people who he meets with who have engineered this whole plan, and they're using Spectre to get this war accomplished. But they never outright say it's China, but it was Chinese actors, and they definitely represented a country that was very similar in governance to China. Like it's very heavily implied that I guess that maybe would make sense.
That makes sense for the time period, and also as soon as they said it landed in Japan, I was like, okay, but it's not the Japanese, because they pretty much don't have any military power after World War II. So that's how the plot is going. And our boy Jamie, he comes in. He's supposed to be dead. And that helps him for 20 minutes of the movie.
Yeah, tops. He
gets involved with their version of M in Japan. His name is Tanaka, but everybody calls him Tiger. And,
Tiger Tanaka.
Yeah, he is pretty cool. I really like Tiger, but there's this whole scene at Tiger's place where they're getting served by these women in their underwear or bikinis. I don't know. And he's just like, in our country, men come first. And James is like, well, I could get used to that.
Yep.
Jesus.
Same moral character we've grown to loathe. And love. But there's other characters that he meets along with Tiger Tanaka, like Aki, who I also love.
I do really like Aki, but so I think I don't know if you missed this or not, but she is the woman that shoots him, I think, in the beginning. Is she not?
I don't I don't remember who shoots him. Honestly, I don't remember that scene very well.
Well, so he's in bed with this girl. I thought it was Aki. In fact, because of what he mentioned about a massage later, I'm pretty sure it was her. But she's like says something, and then she flips up the pull out bed or whatever that folding bed is. Maybe
yeah.
it's a Murphy
Oh,
bed.
that's right.
And then these guys come in and they shoot up the bed, and then
Right.
the MI6 guys come in and like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah, but that was all. They were all hired actors, so yeah,
Exactly.
she might have. Yeah, she might have been that same person. That would make sense.
I thought that's what I got, and that's why the part where she comes in and starts massaging him, and he's like, Aki, and they have this nice warm moment. And honestly, I was kind of rooting for them to get together. I mean, they did, but I mean, in a more long-term sense.
Yeah, she is the Quarrel and Ali Karim Bey characters. She's that formulaic character where she's this. She comes in, she's his sidekick for the movie. You really like her a lot more. Almost a lot more than Bond, and then they just throw her away when they're done with her.
Yeah, and it's like halfway through the movie. This movie is long. This is a long movie. But there are very distinct chapters where I can't say I was bored through any of it.
No.
A lot of really interesting things happen. But yes, there comes a point where to get on this island where they know the shit's going down, they decide that Bond needs to train as a ninja and to be Japanese.
It's so bad.
So it is,
and it's
really
not
bad.
needed. It's not needed.
It's not needed, but like also, so they do Yellowface, not good. It's
and
not
so
good.
Poorly.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, if they did more, it would have been worse. So I don't know.
But the thing is, like, if they had just not done the hairpiece, it would have been fine. He would have just looked like a tan white guy.
Yeah, he looked like he still looked like a tan white guy. He just looked more like a Romulan because they gave him a hairpiece.
Yeah, they gave him a hairpiece, and I think they put like some facial makeup on.
They put like some prosthetics for his eyes to try to make them look more slanted, but they didn't do anything. So it really just wasn't necessary. I don't know if like this was something that was directly in a book or something. But either way, it wasn't necessary. They could have figured out another way to sneak him on there. He didn't look Japanese. He looked like a 6'5" white guy. I don't think he's that tall, but
that's one of the things I hated the most about this movie was that.
Oh yeah.
That whole scene made me groan, and I was loving it up until then.
Right, me too.
And again, it's just a product of the time. I get it. I know that's going to be an argument that, it's just the 60s. It still doesn't make it right.
It does not make it right.
But still, there are a lot of fun things about this movie, especially in Tokyo when they get there. I think the one thing I want to talk about first is Blofeld, because that was a huge surprise to me. I did not know Donald Pleasance from Halloween plays Blofeld.
Right.
The first time you see him.
Okay, yeah, I did not recognize him for that until you just said it right now. Yeah. But yeah, that character was interesting, but that was another thing that he was there and then he was not. But I mean, it's not like in these movies.
He makes up most of the third act.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of another character. Blofeld being
number one.
Number one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm totally messing up with the guy that he goes and meets. It might be Henderson. I'm not sure, but it's the guy who wants to get him connected with Tiger.
Okay.
And he dies right away. I thought he was like a really interesting character, and I was ready to hear what his story was. Like, he had been there since World War II, and there's probably some interesting stuff to go on with that. and he just is dead. Like mid-conversation. It was mid-conversation that they killed him. And it was like when the first big action scene in Tokyo starts. There's a lot of really good action scenes, but it happens so frequently in this movie that it's kind of hard to remember everything that happens.
I don't even remember that character, honestly.
Yeah, and well, he was an English guy. He was an MI6 guy.
I think his name's Deco Henderson or something like that. I remember the character name. I just don't remember him.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's very short amount of time. But I'm sorry, we were talking about Blofeld, number one.
Blofeld, number one. The first time you actually get to see him, you know, because before until now, it's just been his voice and his hand petting the cat. You know, you never got to see his face. I
don't think it was Pleasance that played him up until this point.
No, it was definitely somebody else, because his performance of Blofeld isn't honestly my favorite from what I was expecting somebody a little more sinister, and he's just a little goofy.
Maybe a touch more intimidating. I don't know why. I'm not quite intimidated. Though, I mean, in real life, if I saw this guy like pulling switches and shit and people were dying around me, I would, pay attention.
But how did I not know that Donald Pleasance, from one of my favorite movies of all time, Halloween, how did I not know he was the first ever Blofeld for James Bond?
He's honestly more intimidating as that psychiatrist.
As a bad psychiatrist.
As a bad psychiatrist.
But he is a fun villain who, again, does two things that I really hate about the Bond franchise, which is, number one, why are people part of Spectre? He kills so many of his own people constantly.
I think they probably get like tripped up in it. Like, so I've been watching Weeds lately, and
Love that show.
she very slowly gets more and more involved. Like, she wants it, but after a point, everything breaks bad like over and over again for her, and it just kind of snowballs. I could imagine that happening to some of these lower level people, and then all of a sudden they're in the big show, and they're like, "What the fuck am I doing here?"
They're number 9,090, and then he starts murdering people left and right, and eventually like, "Oh fuck, I'm number 13."
I'm fucking number 13. I gotta go sit at that table. That table's scary, man.
I haven't done anything today. I just woke up and like brushed my teeth. He's gonna definitely kill me.
I haven't made any money. Come on.
The other thing he does that happens so often throughout this movie that it really pissed me off was he always let Bond live.
Yeah. They had so many chances, especially in that last bit.
Yeah, that last bit where he murders his own person before letting Bond walk through the door, just so he can be like, "Now I'm going to murder you." And it's like, why didn't you murder Bond before you murdered your own henchman? Like,
I don't know.
Your priorities, Blofeld, they're all wrong.
Yeah. Like, he has some kind of respect for James. And, James is the most competent out of these 5 movies that we watched. He's the most competent spy in Goldfinger, to be honest. Even though he gets the shit beat out of him in that particular one, but he's the most competent at gathering information in that particular one. So I'm not sure why Blofeld has so much respect for him. He kind of just like blunders through sometimes, it feels like.
He's lucky. Yeah, he's lucky, and he's got a really good penis, I guess.
Yes. I mean, it's for Queen and Country, man.
So he has like some weird outing with number 11 of Spectre, and they have sex. He spends the night. And then the next day, they're on a plane together, just the two of them, nice personal, and she sets a bomb to explode and ejects and parachutes out of the plane, leaving Bond alone with the plane he can easily control because he's they've shown that he knows how to fly planes. So he just lands the plane and runs away, and she's like, "I think I killed him." You had the entire night. He had to sleep. You were sleeping next to him. You could have murdered him anytime.
Yeah, like in the building where like Spectre has all these people. Like at this point, they don't necessarily know that he knows that they're Spectre, but they know that he's James Bond. So just take care of the problem. Come on,
Yeah,
people.
just kill him.
This is why Blofeld kills them all, because he's like, I can't deal with this incompetence.
But he's just leading by example.
Yes, that's it.
Just as incompetent.
Oh boy.
There's another moment where he's meeting with another agent of Spectre. I can't remember who his name is, and it's another one of those situations like you had in Goldfinger where they both know who James Bond and the person he's talking to both know who each other really are, but they're acting undercover. And once James Bond walks out the door, the guy's like, "Kill him," and I'm like, "You had him in your building."
Yeah, you had like a gun on him too. Like,
yeah, just break the fucking act and just kill him while he's in your building.
Yeah,
why would you let him leave?
Like, you're not being sly at that point. Like, you don't need to be sly anymore. If you're gonna let him leave the room, then you're gonna let him live. That's
just do it. Just kill him. That's this whole movie. Oh, and there is also, I guess the Rocky Horror narrator was in this. I just don't remember who he played. I wrote him down though because it surprised me.
What's the actor's name? You remember?
Oh, I do not.
Does he play Henderson, the guy I was talking about?
Oh my god! I think it is.
Yes,
actually.
it is. Yeah, it is him. Yeah.
That's the only reason I didn't write down who the character was, because I wrote down Rocky Horror narrator instead of anything about the character. It's because they don't utilize him, like you said. They just get rid of him.
Yeah, Charles Gray is the actor's name. Yeah,
Well,
he's got. Maybe that's why I liked him, because he's got that voice. And
that was my laundry. I'm sorry.
No worries. But yeah, he's got that voice, and it's got a smoothness to it, and I don't know. Maybe that's why I was drawn to him. Yes, and
lovely dulcet tones.
Lovely. Man, we gotta talk about that movie sometime. I think it's fair
Halloween
to say it's
2020.
one of my favorites. Oh yeah, 2021. Here we go. Yeah, I'm sure that there's probably a whole musical Halloween episode in there.
Oh yeah, Little Shop of Horrors.
That's right.
And
maybe Sweeney Todd,
or Young Frankenstein.
Young Frankenstein.
Well, I guess we could use
that's technically a musical though.
Yeah.
There's a couple of numbers. I don't know.
Plus that might work better for Mel Brooks.
That's right.
Mel Brooks musical. Right. Sweeney Todd.
Okay, so let's not pad this like Dumbo and talk about you live twice.
There is one more thing we should mention, and that is the writer of this movie, which was a surprise for me again. It was Roald Dahl. He who wrote Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, I remember us talking about that. That is something.
See, this is the first movie, I think, for both of us that's a new Bond film for us, because we've watched the first four,
right.
and then we didn't watch past that. So this is like the first time that we're actually just experiencing a Bond that we haven't seen before.
Uh-huh.
And so to find out that it was Roald Dahl who wrote it, I was like, why did we stop? Like, it's... he definitely makes it amusing.
Oh yeah, it is an amusing story, that's for sure. Definitely like him getting disguised as a Japanese person, that didn't need to happen really. But I mean, at least I don't know. It's not the worst situation I've seen it happen. You know what I mean? There's a shit ton of movies that I saw growing up where somebody just showed up and they were disguised as a person of another ethnicity. At least they tried to give it a purpose. I don't know if that makes it any better or not, really. But
yeah, well, I mean, one of my favorite movies, Breakfast at Tiffany's, has yellow face. You know.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's just, it's still one of my favorite movies, but at the same time, that's one of the hardest parts to watch about it. Is I'm just like, why? It's so annoying.
Yeah, I mean, because there were people that they could have filled the role with is the real problem.
But the upside with James Bond here is that is a solid scene that you can easily skip past.
Yeah. And he doesn't look Japanese. He looks like James Bond when he's all said and done.
If you just cut out those like 20 minutes, I don't really think you miss much, and the movie ends faster. I think we're ready for closing statement.
I think we are. Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's some really cool stuff with the Spectre base, but I mean, I guess you just gotta watch the movie to see those things.
I guess we can mention Blofeld's Piranha Pit.
Oh yeah, he does have a piranha pit, which gets used to
quite a lot.
Yeah, quite a lot. Yeah, varying degrees of success.
Was there also sharks, or was that an earlier movie?
That was the last movie. That was Thunderball.
Okay, that was Thunderball.
I don't know if anybody got ate by those sharks.
I don't think so. I don't think they utilized them. No,
maybe not.
They definitely utilize the piranhas a lot, though.
They do. They really
love their piranhas.
They sure did. Probably because it's just an easy effect, you know.
Yeah. It was just like, this will be fun. But closing statement, I give it 3 out of 4 stars. It's a very fun movie. Easily could have been 3.5 if it didn't have Yellowface. I honestly wanted to drop it even more, but at the same time, it is the most fun I've had with a Bond film so far.
I agree. I did have a lot of really good time watching it.
Yeah, and Roald Dahl's story is, it's ludicrous and it's absurd, and it made me realize why people like James Bond a little more, and it made me like James Bond a little more. I'm starting to become a fanatic. I mean, honestly, like I hate his, a lot of his moral choices.
Right, and I'm sure that evolves in some direction. I don't know.
Hopefully, but like here, he's still a womanizing asshole. But at the same time, the gadgets were funny. I mean, maybe a little too much gadgetry, but I didn't mind it too much. But all around,
fucking cigarette torpedo. That was like the opposite foot of the "why didn't you just kill him" shoe. Right. Yeah, like he's standing right there. He lets you have the cigarette. He's let you live up to this point. Take the shot. Whatever.
Yeah, and take the fucking shot. So many times I want to drop it another half a star just for that, but I'm not going to. Because again, this is the most fun I've had with a Bond movie, and I get some of the love now.
Yeah.
So I recommend it. It's a fun Bond film.
Yeah, I will agree to that testament. It's a very fun Bond film. I do think it's a full-faced movie. I was like you. I really like that shit. Just bothers a modern audience nowadays.
Yeah,
and it should. And just skip that part. It's like we said. If you skip that part, it does not affect the plot. Like the Pussy Galore thing. That really pissed me off. But I mean, this, not that this didn't piss me off, but it was honestly, I did laugh. I laughed because it was unnecessary. It just, but like I said earlier, I might have even think it was worse if they make it up to look more like that. You know what would have been good though? If they brought in a Japanese actor to play James Bond as a Japanese person. They were so good at the plastic surgery. But anyhow, I guess I still give it a full face because I did have a lot of fun watching it. So there's that. I think that's You Only Live Twice. And I probably won't watch it twice, though. I will say that.
I mean, I might if I ever want to marathon James Bond again, but I don't think it's like top tier that I'm gonna go back to.
No. If you're like because there's so many Bond movies, I feel like if you're going to do a Bond marathon, you should just pick your favorites from each era, which I guess this is one of the ones I like better.
Yeah,
out of
which
the five. So,
speaking of era, we've come to the Grover Cleveland part of Sean Connery's career where he skips the next movie to come back for his final movie later. We're going to take a break from James Bond for a little while. And who knows what, if we might go back to Disney. We might start another playlist, but
we'll see.
We'll come back to finish off George Lazenby and Sean Connery's movies, the next two films. But for now, we're going to take a little bit of a Jimmy Boone break.
Go on back, Jimmy Boone.
Go on back, Jimmy Boone.
So I guess what we did with the last playlist group we did, we picked our favorite, our winner of the era. So
and the shittiest one.
And the shittiest one we did do that. I think I mean I know which one I'm going to say is the shittiest one, but I'm not sure about my favorite. Why don't you go first?
Well, I honestly do think my favorite is You Only Live Twice. I mean, to be completely honest, if it wasn't for the rapey scene in Goldfinger, that one could have been my favorite. It was a really competent film up until then.
Up until that point, yeah.
That doesn't make me hate it more than how bored I was with the second movie.
Yeah, from With Love.
From Russia with Love.
From Russia with Love, yeah.
Yeah, I don't... Yeah. Even though I still detest that scene in Goldfinger. I'll keep wanting to call it Goldmember because of Austin Powers. But even though I detest that scene, I really just don't remember anything about From Russia with Love. And I just edited it. Like, I'm working on editing that right now. I'm listening to us talk about the plot of that movie, and I don't remember it.
Oh, man.
So I think that's the shittiest one.
Yeah, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree with that being the shittiest one. I think that, honestly, I really enjoyed Thunderball this time around. There's some good stuff in there. I know that there's a good chunk of that movie that just doesn't need to exist.
I was going to say, you're just going to watch Aqua documentaries from now on.
Yeah. Hey, don't knock Jacques Cousteau.
I hear James Cameron's got some.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Where he raises the bar, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's our show, man. We did it.
Da-da-da.
Yeah.
And that's the show. He's the Green Traveler. I'm the Faceless Leon.
I am. You are.
Whiz.
Safe travels, everybody. And good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. If you want to learn more information about us, check us out on Facebook. You can also check out the Facebook and Instagram accounts of Fiction Works 19. Don't forget to like, follow, comment, or subscribe wherever you catch the show. Thank you all very much for listening.